Hey y'all, hope you're having a good one. I'm going to give you some footage here from Blackhawk Ski Club. I took this yesterday. We've been dumped on by a fair bit of snow, nice fluffy stuff. We are now again in a winter wonderland. I'm pretty excited about that. It was way too muddy for way too long, and now we have something nice to look at. So I took the bike, threw it in the truck, and brought it out here. As you can see, the trails aren't super well groomed. It's mostly packed down by tire trails. Looks like they might have groomed some of the stuff, but then we got just a bit more snow dumped on. And the temperatures are a little bit cooler, so it just kind of needs to be worn in a little bit. Made for a fun day, challenging miles. Put about 2 hours in and got about 9 miles in. So very exciting stuff. I'm going to show just kind of the top little section. There's some really great little parts in here that I've enjoyed for, many seasons, and still continue to do. Overall, this week's training was pretty solid. I put in about 9 hours in the saddle. A lot of it was good quality stuff, in my opinion. Some nice base training and stuff like that. I'm finally back up to a point where I feel satisfied with the volume. From here out, I'd like to get about 9 to 12 hours, I think, is reasonable with 2 weightlifting sessions in during a week. I plan on doing more workouts between that hour and a half to 3 hour mark. I don't think anything over 3 hours is really necessary. I'd like to start working more on thresholds and VO2 max stuff and just keep up that aerobic base. Stuff in the saddle of the trainer is going to be higher quality than outdoor anyways. But if we can get some outdoor stuff, that would be awesome. It is mountain biking after all, full body workout. Up to this point, training has been kind of hit and miss. I have been getting in my weightlifting sessions, but my weekly volumes, they've been a little bit more to be desired. I think there's a couple of factors. I think it's overall busyness of work and family balance. That's a huge struggle. I also feel like it's kind of at the end of a block for me. So looking back at my training, it looks like I kind of have this pattern where I pick a discipline and I go hard at it for about 2 years. And then after that second year, I kind of take a break. And sometimes I'll take a year off or try to take a year off. Or sometimes it'll just be a little bit more chill. And I think that has to do with just kind of the physical toll racing takes on me and the way I train. Also kind of a mental toll too, because I tend to stagnate and I get a little bit frustrated with spending all the time away from the family training. I like to spend time with them too. And I've been taking a little bit more of that time recently, and I've kind of enjoyed that. However, I think everyone's kind of in agreement that this is something that makes me better, so I think we have time to start ramping it up. But as I said, it's kind of that end of that 2-year block. So 2021, I was actually supposed to be my first year into mountain bike racing, kind of coming off of triathlon and duathlon and running before that, and a little bit of crit racing. Anyways, I've done a fair bit. And I trained really hard, and my A race didn't happen. My daughter got sick the morning of, and I had to take care of her. So I scrapped that. However, there was a road race the next day my wife signed me up for, which was a heck of a lot of fun. Race the lake. So that was great. At the end of that year, it wasn't really too hard, and a road race isn't too, 90-mile road race isn't too draining. So I was able to kind of recover and jump back on the train. 2022, however, was a very different year. I came out swinging at the 6 hours of Alpine Valley and crushed that race, and that was my warm-up for the season. I realized I was pretty beat up after that one. I was lucky. I think it was May or June. And then I took the rest of the year to just train and build to the peak of the 100 down. That race, I felt great until mile about 70 out of 100. And at which time I realized all the weak points of my body. wrists, back, core, neck, a lot of stuff that I neglected in favor of volume. I recovered, and 6 weeks later I did the Marji Gesick, which also not only took all those areas that were still slightly tender, but found a bunch of new ones. So last year basically beat the tar out of me, and I think it took me probably a couple months to get back and recovered, on top of everything else, right into, the holiday season, and now we're kind of on the backside. So I'm hoping, again, to kind of keep that volume up from here out. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be in trouble when we get to Leadville and all that stuff if I don't start getting in more volume. Anyway, so again, kind of that 9 to 12 hour mark in the saddle with 2 weight trainings, I think, is a reasonable goal to kind of achieve. Other than that, this week I did place another big order with Hammer for some training fuel. They are my nutrition sponsor for the year, so I want to give a big shout to them. And I also just kind of want to point out my 2 favorite items from them at the moment. Since we're in the off season, I love magnesium all season, but right now especially I need to get everything kind of refined. Magnesium is one of those kind of electrolytes that we don't get enough from our diet, especially as athletes, and it's incredibly important to not only heart health, but a ton of other stuff. So if it's appropriate, I always suggest for my friends and stuff to make sure you're getting enough magnesium. The other thing I quite enjoy is the whey protein. There are some studies that show that taking a scoop of whey protein before bed will actually help increase recovery, release of human growth hormone and stuff. You can't use carbs with it, or it doesn't work as well, but just a scoop of protein, if that works for your belly, can have some good effects. I also like it for when I'm on the go and for after workouts. So, recovery, getting everything kind of squared away this time of year is super important. I do have to watch my weight. I am at the heaviest I've been in a while. I'm up to about 190 at 6 feet. It's not too awful. I graduated high school at 185, so not too far off of a base weight, so I'm not too frustrated with that. And I have put on a fair bit of muscle, so that's okay. My goal weight, I think, is probably mid-170s. Anything less than that, and I start getting sick. When I raced duathlon and ran, the lightest I ever got was like low 160s, and I was fast, but man, I was tired all the time, and I got sick pretty easily. So I just don't have time to sleep that much, and I can't afford to get sick. I've had some seasons I've gone in super light, and I usually lose some days to illness, and I think it's just my body doesn't like being that light, so I just have to deal with being the weight my body likes to be at. And that's just going to be kind of cleaning up my diet a little more, which is getting easier. No more, holiday foods and stuff like that. Just waiting for our spring, baskets from the farm to come in. All those delicious greens, but we're a little ways off from that. Lastly, I guess I'll mention that I am trying a little bit different editing technique this week. I am going with a headset and my laptop. I've been having trouble with rendering off my phone. I thought I could just quickly render and do audio on my phone for a lot of this stuff. However, I'm having trouble getting decent quality, and I had to go through a couple of apps last week, and it actually cost me a fair bit of time. So I think from here out, I'm going to try using the computer, although I'm not sold on the headset. I might have to go with something a little different. Anyways, yeah, that's the week. It's a pretty good week. Ending up here on the jump line. And then we will take you back around a little bit. And I think I'm just going to throw some beats on to play you out. So thanks for joining me again for another week. And yeah, take care. Keep the overside down and see you next week.